Hi everyone, Simon Keeling here, Sunday the 26th of February. Thanks for watching once again, and thanks for telling your friends about the site too. After what is quite frankly a boring couple of weeks with this high pressure in and the monotony of the dry weather that we've been suffering, there's finally something to really get your teeth into in the weather over the next few weeks. And it's a question about whether things turn more unsettled as we head into next weekend and into the following week. Could we be about to see the return of the jet stream? There is a possibility there that we might, which could bring much more unsettled conditions and interesting conditions through the British Isles, although I'm still doubtful whether rainfall will actually make it to the south. But there is this question mark at the moment over things, and I'm going to give it another day, and what I'm going to do is work on the analogues and see where the sort of pattern that we're expecting to see has taken us in previous years. Let me show you the differences between a couple of models at the moment and kind of try and highlight to you what we're looking at here as to possible scenarios as to how the weather breaks out. And then of course we'll go into detail of the weather for the coming week or two. Now, as always, the site's kept free of charge by the adverts you see around it. So if you see an advert you like, click on it, go through to the advertiser. It's that generates revenue for us, and also shows the sponsors and the advertisers that you're interested in what we're doing. And the site is expanding all the time. We've got new things coming on. You'll notice the Weather Web reporters, they're adding their reports on there, which I'm hoping are of interest to you. Also, there'll be more videos coming up from other people too, as well as myself. So I'm trying to turn this into an online weather channel, and with your support that's exactly what can be done. But we need your support in order to get the advertisers and the sponsors in to pay for all these additional features. So thank you for everything you've done so far. Please do continue to support the site. Okay, so on the left hand side here we have the ECMWF model. On the right hand side we've got the GFS. Now these are the 7 to 10 mean 500 millibar heights. So this is looking at the weather 18,000 feet up in the atmosphere, or about 18,000 feet up in the atmosphere, and averaging the heights and whether heights are higher or below than normal during the period from next Sunday through to Wednesday the 7th of March. Now, the idea is that where these solid lines, which are the height lines, are close together is where we get the strongest winds, and that's where the jet stream is. The blue colour shows low than normal heights, and the red colour shows higher than normal heights. Higher than normal heights indicate warm air through the atmosphere. Low than normal heights indicate cold air through the atmosphere. That doesn't translate necessarily to warm and cold air at the surface. It's just how much air is within a block of air, and where we get these higher heights you tend to get higher pressure, lower heights is lower pressure. So that's what we're looking at. Now we've got a subtle difference between these two. As I said, ECMWF on the left here, we've got GFS on the right. Remember, this is the mean for next Sunday through to Wednesday, so we're looking at how the model sees this overall. Now notice the difference. The ECMWF has got low pressure to the north of Scotland, sorry, a low heights to the north of Scotland, and then look, we've got this U shape here in the height lines. Now that U shape is what we call a trough. It's indicative of unsettled conditions. The jet stream coming across the Atlantic, look, and just opening out here across the British Isles. Compare that to the GFS, which is the model that we see all over the internet, and you notice how we don't have that centre of low heights. That centre of low heights is further west, it's across Greenland, and we've got a ridge across the south of the country with above normal heights. So what the GFS wants to do is make things far less unsettled and keep dry weather across much of the south of the country, at least during that period, where the ECMWF wants to make it far more unsettled. Now, what is interesting is that these models have been consistent in their various runs. So as they've issued new updates of their forecasts, they've stayed consistent with these ideas. So it's trying to decide, okay, which way are we likely to go? Let me just give you an example here, show you what's going on. This is, if you go to weather charts on the page you're on now, click on that weather charts at the top there, and then down the left hand side here you'll see various different models. This is the ECMWF operational model, and if you look, there's the time in the top right hand corner. So this was this is valid for midnight, or was midnight last night. Goes in 24-hour steps. If we knock it on, look, there's Monday, Tuesday, high pressure still there, Wednesday, high pressure is still there. This is that ridge that we saw in the solid height lines. Then we're getting through to the 1st of March. So this is, when are we? Thursday, Friday. Next Saturday, look at the isobars getting close together, where these colours are together here. These are the height lines again. This is the jet stream developing here in the Atlantic. So that was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. there's Sunday. Now that's a pattern that we haven't seen for some time. This is a proper set of weather fronts passing eastwards, a proper area of low pressure as well, up to the north of Scotland. And then into Monday of the following week, we stay with those westerlies, and into Tuesday too, and into Thursday. So it really is making things unsettled now. If we take a look at the Canadian model, so this is the Canadian model for the GEM model. These go in 6-hour steps. We'll look at the same time. Look, there is 26th of February. These go in 12-hour steps. Let's just knock it on. Here we go into this week. So we'll take it through to Thursday. There's the area of high pressure. Look, here we get into Thursday, 1st of March. Here we go into Friday. Look, it's trying to do the same thing. Bring in more unsettled conditions. Here's that area of low pressure. Look, into next weekend. Now watch what happens. It drives the front eastwards. Look, builds high pressure in behind, but keeps this west to southwesterly flow going into the week after next. So we do have some backup for this whole idea of this more unsettled southwesterly flow developing sometime next weekend into the beginning part of next week. Now what that would do is bring significant rainfall to Scotland, to Ireland, probably to northern parts of England too. But to the south, still looking like relatively low rainfall amounts, but it could be that there's a slight change on the way there. So how about temperatures? Well, this is how the GFS ensemble model sees temperatures in London, and this is representative really of much of the British Isles over the coming couple of weeks. The dates are down here at the bottom. Notice how temperatures look are rising through this week. These are the really mild conditions we'll see Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week, and then they come off, look, into the back end of next weekend to go into nearer normal conditions as the lower pressure and the westerly winds set in. Now also on these charts, which I haven't shown you before, is rainfall amounts. These are the small green bars that you can see here. Notice how from next weekend, look, this amount, having been dry here, actually starts to increase. So we start to see, yes, these are in 6-hour steps, and that's a millimetre running along here, but you can see how we're starting to see more rainfall. Let's take a look at Birmingham. Birmingham, much the same pattern. Here's the mild weather this week, then the fall off in the early part of next week to nearer normal condition, but look again, rainfall is starting to increase. Same for Manchester. There's the increase, here's the fall off in temperature, these red lines here, but look, rainfall is picking up too. And then surprise, surprise, Glasgow, much the same, milder conditions this week, falling off into nearer normal conditions next week, but just look at the rainfall amounts. So we're seeing a change by the looks of things in the overall weather pattern. So what do the indices tell us at the moment? Well, I've been showing you these throughout the winter months, and this is the North Atlantic oscillation, and you can see how we've got in positive territory in the early part of the forecast period, then goes negative later. What this is indicating is the stronger westerly winds across the Atlantic during this early period into next weekend, but then bouncing around neutral and into slightly negative territory. So it's trying the GFS to actually make those westerly winds across the Atlantic weaker, which kind of goes against what we've just said about this idea that the westerlies pick up and we get a southwesterly flow. So we've got some confusion in the models here. Now, this actually is good news, because when this happens, it's an indicator that the models can't agree on what's going to happen, and frequently it means that there's a change in pattern about to take place. The Arctic oscillation so similar too. It's bouncing around in positive territory. Now that means that the cold air is held north of the Arctic Circle, which means it can't drain southwards into Europe. So it looks like temperatures are not going to be going cold during the foreseeable few weeks. And then the final chart that I wanted to show you was this one. This is the CFS forecast, and we're under here. Yes, I know we're upside down. Don't worry, I'm actually trying to develop these charts myself, so you'll see these the right way around. But for now, this is the period running from the 11th to the 17th of March, and this is 500 millibar heights again, anomalies. So the red colours are above normal height, so it's trying to put high pressure, look, close to the British Isles again during that period. And then from the 18th to the 24th, still keeps high pressure in, but with low pressure to the north and lower heights to the north, this through here is indicative of a jet stream developing. So the CFS is trying to pick up on this as well, but I think the CFS is seeing way too high pressure. I really don't think it's going to be that high, but it's just interesting to note that many of these models are seeing similar sorts of things. So one other thing I just wanted to point out to you, while we're worrying about not having rain over here, spare a thought for those down in Greece. Goodness me, they've got their problems, haven't they, at the moment? But this is the weekly rainfall. This starts today and ends on the 3rd of March. Well, look at this rainfall in Greece and Turkey. Low pressure stuck down there, and that's where our rainfall is basically going. The weather always balances itself out. They've had a really horrendous winter down there, and it looks like it's going to continue. And if we take a look at exactly how much rainfall that is, those red colours are the equivalent of 2 to 5 inches of rain falling during the next week in some parts. It really is exceptional amounts of rainfall. So, I hope that's been useful for you, and I hope that explained things a little bit more. I'll be keeping you up to date on the musings and do some more work on those musings for you as well. So, hopefully that should explain a little bit more over the next few days as to how things are going to develop. But I think what you can do to summarise everything we've said today is that it looks like we're going to be in for very dry weather during this week, particularly in the south. Yes, there'll be some outbreaks of rain in the north, and particularly across western parts of Scotland. You can see that here, look, on these rainfall maps. There it is, just those little bits. But for many of us, look, we see less rainfall. I think what else I want you to take away from the bulletin today is that we'll see conditions potentially going very mild on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week too. 16, 17 is quite possible. Into the weekend, this coming weekend, things turn more unsettled with low pressure getting in once again, and the jet streams try and become re-established. And then next week looks like temperatures go down to nearer normal levels, and I suspect the jet stream is established and it could be bringing us some more unsettled conditions during next week, although the far south of England, still the jury is out as to exactly how unsettled it becomes there. I suspect it will be dry, and I suspect that much of March will be dry across southern England too, but it could turn wetter across the northern parts of the country. So thanks for watching, and keep the sun shining. Bye for now.